Awesome. So if you made it to this point, you're looking to use a SNAP provisional patent application to prepare your provisional patent application. As you'll notice, there's a couple things that you're going to want to take a quick look at. One is you've already seen, if you're watching this video, this is that part of the SNAP legal system is that we have videos that walk you through all the information you're going to need for a patent application. So this is going to include kind of how to, what information you're going to fill in, when you're going to fill it in, how you should do it. And it's going to be kind of a video guide that walks you through each part of the process to make sure you understand it. The second thing you're going to notice is there's also going to be timestamps here. Timestamps are basically going to correspond to each section of the form that you're going to fill out, and it's going to walk you through what you need for that section. So if you're going to start out at section 1, you're going to do name and background. It's going to correspond with down here. You're going to go to the time 00, very beginning of the video. Let's say you come down to claims and you want to go back and start at the beginning and get a better understanding of claims, then you're going to go to whatever time this is. Now, these times may vary. These are just examples, but you're going to just go to each of those times if you're going to want to refer back to that. Without further ado, let's get started on filling out your provisional patent application using SNAP Legal. So the first section we're going to want to do is just pretty simple. You're going to want to have a name, title, background. Your name is going to be whoever the applicant, whoever's filling this out, whoever is going to be filing or wanting to have this provisional patent application. First name, last name, primary email address. This is going to be your email address that we are going to use to contact you to give you any updates, get any more information. Next thing you're going to want to do is title of invention. Title of the invention is pretty simple. It's going to be a short, reasonably broad description of your invention. Couple things you're not going to want to do. You don't necessarily need to say a device or a system or a method. Just say what your invention is. If it's a automobile, it's a gasoline powered automobile, then say gasoline powered automobiles. Now, the one thing you're going to want to do is you're always going to want to make your invention plural in the title. So rather than saying gasoline powered automobile, singular, you're going to want to have gasoline powered automobiles, because there may be different ways. You may have a couple different ways that you can have an automobile. Maybe one's gasoline powered, maybe one's diesel powered, maybe one's solar powered, and maybe you want to have different automobiles that, with a power source, automobiles with a power source. Say maybe I'm going to go a little bit broader. So let's say, you're going to go automobiles power with, or automobiles with, let's go broader, power sources. So now you can see I have automobiles is going to be plural, power source is going to be plural, because there could be different types of automobiles, and they could be a truck, a car, a motorcycle. They could also have different power sources. So going to be broad, going to be short. Should be about 5 words or less. Shouldn't be long. Should be broad. Should be plural. Next thing you want to do is this a general background section. This general background section should be, or one thing it is not. It is not discussing your invention. We do not want to get into your invention. There's another section for that. We don't want to describe the background of how you came up with your invention or why your invention matters. This is not the section. What this is a section is just a general description of the industry that your invention relates to. It's going to be very broad. It's going to be one paragraph, and it's just going to describe a little bit of your invention. So let's say we are automobiles with power sources. You may say, since the 1920s, people have used automobiles to get from point A to point B. Automobiles are important because it helps people to transport between one place and another. Then you're going to say, automobiles are going to be a great transportation means for conveying people from different locations. That's about it. You don't need to don't need to get into a lot of detail. Few sentences, general description of your industry, kind of just setting it up. This is all it is background. Very broad, describing your industry that your invention is within. Once you fill that out, then you're going to get all that information. If you need to take a break, click pause, get that information filled out, and then go to the next step. Because you can click next here, or you can also click it into here. Once you're done, this is going to be the place where you're going to provide more details about your invention. It's called the detailed description. As you'll notice, the way this is set up is it gives you a blank for what the information you're going to fill in, and it gives you kind of a context for what the rest of the sentence is after that blank. So if you to think of here, this is basically going to be the same thing as your title put into part of a sentence. So we're going to say, automobiles with power sources, as disclosed herein, will become better understood through a review of blah, blah, blah. And this is going to be reasonably standard language or boilerplate that is going to just, after you fill in the blank, is going to be how it appears. The next thing you're going to fill in is a conventional, and then you're going to put just kind of a general statement of what are the conventional products that this relates to. So maybe a conventional automobile or conventional automobiles. may include. So we're going to just type it on the fly. So you're going to say a conventional automobile. So I do need to take the S off. May include. So it's going to be generally. So, hey, conventionally, we're going to talk about automobiles, what they were before our invention. This is setting it up. So just do a conventional, put a one or two words as far as what is a conventional product or device or invention you're describing, may include. And now this is going to be 2 or 3 paragraphs, and it's going to just talk about what a conventional automobile may include. And so this could be, conventional automobiles, and I'm not going to write it all out here for you, but it could be, a conventional automobile, as created in the 1920s, had a chassis, it had wheels, it had an engine, it had transmission, and it had a seat for the user. And they're going to say, the conventional automobile was great. It, had these type of, things. However, and we're going to talk a little bit about the conventional automobile. Maybe then you get into, the wheels had an axis, and the engine had was gasoline powered, and the transmission had, 2 different gears that you could shift to, and the seats had 2 seats for somebody and their passenger to sit in. This is really your place to describe what is the conventional device or something that was. Now, this is before your invention. This is a conventional. This is a typical. This is before your invention. This is what that conventional automobile or the conventional product before yours came along was. Describe that in 2 or 3 paragraphs. Include that and type it out. The next section you're going to do after you describe what the conventional product is, device, invention was, is now you're going to describe the shortcomings. So let's take the conventional automobile that was made in the 1920s. Maybe it didn't have air conditioning. And so you're saying the conventional automobile was too hot. People couldn't drive it in the summer. Or maybe it didn't have navigation. The conventional automobile didn't have a GPS system, so people didn't know how to get to point A to point B, and they're always constantly stopping to ask for directions because they kept getting lost. Whatever that is, we're going to take about 2 or 3 paragraphs, and we're going to say why the conventional way was not a good way. And the reason we're setting that up is now we're saying, here's all the problems with the conventional way, and here's now how our invention solves those problems. And so we're going to want to set up where that is going to be the conventional way that's doing it, and then why it has shortcomings, why it's deficient. And if there aren't any, then you shouldn't need your invention. If it's perfect, if there's no reason to do it, then you do it. Shouldn't have any reason to do your invention, which is obviously true because that's why I invented it. So put the shortcomings here. The next section you're going to do is going to have a sentence here, implementations of, and then it's going to put the name of your invention here, as described herein, may address some or all the problems. So basically we're saying, here's a conventional way that was done. Here's the shortcomings of that. And our invention addresses at least some or all of those problems. And then we're going to get into the what your invention may include. Now, this should be 3 or 4 sentences high level. We aren't getting into the details of your invention yet. Next section we will, not yet. This is 3 or 4 sentences in this section right here describing kind of what are the components of your invention at a high level. So maybe you're going to say, hey, our automobile now has an air conditioning system, which is going to cool the interior of the cab. It's also going to have an integrated GPS system that connects to a satellite that gives directions to an individual. Maybe it also has a stereo system so they can listen to music. Whatever that is, we're going to say, okay, maybe it has an air conditioning, maybe it has a stereo system, maybe it has, an integrated GPS, and maybe it has, or electrically controlled windows. That's going to be kind of what this high level 3 or 4 sentences is. Describe the components that your invention includes at a high level, 3 or 4 sentences, and write that out. Put in sentence format, picking it up from may include, and then that's what you're going to do. So whatever your invention is, gas or automobiles with power sources may include blah, blah, blah. Next section is we are going to get into the figures. Now, this is where you get into the details of your invention. What you're going to want to do, and we recommend at least 3 figures. I would say optimally, you're going to have 4 or 5 or 6 figures. You're going to have somewhere between 4 to 6 figures that show the various aspects of your invention. You don't need to have formal figures. You don't have to have a draftsman do it. It just has to be able to accurately depict and show what your invention is so that somebody else could kind of, as you're describing it, could look at the picture and get it. The first figure that you're going to want to put in here is going to be a system level figure. So this is going to show the entire system. So let's say you have the automobile. It's going to be an overall figure. It shows the automobile, it shows the chassis, it shows the wheels, it shows the air conditioning system, it shows the speakers, it shows the GPS system. Shows the whole system. So whatever your invention is, let's show the whole system. It can be a picture, it can be a drawing, it can be a sketch. Just make sure it helps to convey it. What you're going to do is you're going to click here, you're going to upload whatever that is, and we'll just come down to downloads. We're going to do a random thing. We'll click it, and we'll upload it there. And then it'll show, hey, here's the image that you put in here. Just select one. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to discuss what that is, or what your picture or your figure actually shows. So you're going to say figure 1 illustrates, and then you're going to put in here. So let's say it was a automobile, then I may say an automobile with a AC unit to cool the vehicle. Whatever that is, it's just a short description. Should just be a few, less than a sentence. It's a short description. This is in general what my figure shows. It illustrates blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to say, according to an embodiment. That's what's going to fill in. Next is, this is where you're going to, in excruciating detail, as much as you're able to provide, you're going to talk about your system. So this is where you get to the details of your invention. Talk all about your system, about how it has an air conditioning unit, how it has the speakers, why the speakers matter, what amperage are the speakers, where are they located, how much, how does air conditioning work, how does it get you compress the air, how does it make it cooler, whatever it is, you're going to want to walk through in excruciating detail what's shown in that figure. Make it as detailed as possible. Simple answer is, the more detail, the better. Always better to have more detail than less, because that you're going to want to describe your invention in as much detail. Don't leave it out. Don't worry about describing too much, but really just write up what is shown in that figure. When you get done with figure 2, then figure 1, you're going to want to do a second figure. So almost always, we're going to want to have at least 3 figures, if not 4 to 6. So you should almost always, unless you really can't think of any other figures, do a second figure. Now, what should the second figure be? It's going to be showing the specific parts of your invention. So let's say you have the system level, shows your whole system, the whole automobile, shows everything in one, or all put together. Now you want to get specific. You want to say, here's our air conditioning unit. It's a specific component, it's a specific part. So let's focus in on a specific feature of your invention. So let's say you may have figure 2, it may be just your air conditioning unit. Figure 3, maybe your GPS unit. Figure 4, maybe your stereo system. We're going to have a set of figures that is going to be specific to each component that's unique and inventive to your system. Beyond that, you're going to upload the figure. You're going to put in the short description of what that figure is, the 1-sentence description that describes the drawing, and then you're going to put in all the details of the figure. The third type of figure that I always recommend, and I would always select yes, is what's called a flow chart. And a flow chart is really going to be a kind of boxes that say, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. A lot of times you'll get inventors that say, mine is just a product. There is no flow chart. There's always a flow chart to 99.9% of inventions. So let's say you're to take an automobile. Well, how do you use the automobile? Maybe you get in, you turn it on, you have to turn the knob to activate the air conditioning system. You have to push power on the stereo in order to activate the speakers. You have to put in your GPS coordinates. All of those are flowchart. You have to step by step, here's how you use my invention. Or let's say, how do you make your invention? How is it manufactured? How is it produced? Maybe that's the unique or novel part. Whatever it is, it should be a step-by-step of how to use your invention, how it's made, how it's assembled, how to use it. So that's going to be your third type of figures. Again, you're going to put in a short description of what that figure is, that 1 sentence or so that fits in between the figure 3 illustrates, then it illustrates whatever it is according to an embodiment, and then you're going to put all the details in here. Now, if you have 20 figures, put 20 figures in. It's much better to capture that, all the different views, all the different variations, and describe it. It's a little bit extra work now, but it definitely pays dividends in the end. Once you get all the figures, then you're going to go click next, go to the next step. So we're going to come up here, and we're going to go to the next section, which is the claim section. Now, the claim section is where you're going to just you're going to put 1 claim. For a provisional patent application, you're good with 1 claim. Main reason you put 1 claim in is so that you have a section where, in case you file a non-provisional patent application, whether you're going foreign, there's a section that's required that's called a claim section. Now, what is a claim section? Claim section is kind of a bullet pointed section that describes what your invention is. It's going to say, okay, if you have my invention, in order to it to be my invention, has to include component 1, component 2, component 3, component 4. Whatever those number of components are, that's what you're going to want to put into here. You're going to want to almost in a bullet point of thing say, I have a device and it has components 1, 2, 3. If somebody else creates an invention that has components 1, 2, 3, it infringes my invention. So the way to fill that out is you're going to come in here and you're going to select one of these three: a device, apparatus, or a method. A method is going to be basically, here's how it's used, here's how it, these steps it basically functions. So maybe it's software and you have, it goes and gathers data, it compiles that data, it analyzes the data, and it provides an output. Then you're going to do a method. Maybe it's a device. If you have a device, then you're going to say, hey, I have a device or an apparatus. Device is going to be a little bit more specific. It's going to be just a single unit. An apparatus can be a bit broader, but do a device, apparatus, or method. Then you're going to select, let's say we're going to do a device. Then you're going to have the way that claims are going to read is a device comprising. And then you're going to put in here a list of the components. So maybe if this is an automobile, continue on with our example, it may include a chassis. It may include a frame, an air conditioning unit, a GP or a global positioning system, which is a GPS, and you're going to say, and then it includes speakers to play music. Now you're going to want to be a little more descriptive. You're not just going to want to say a chassis, because what is a chassis? Well, a chassis is a metal structure that encloses in individuals. So you can be a little bit more specific. It doesn't just have to be one word. Wouldn't recommend it one word. Basically, it's about one sentence. What is that component? So it may be a chassis with, or let's say rather than a chassis, it's a carriage or a structure. Let's do that. A structure to hold components of a vehicle. And then you may say a frame, and that's a metal structure to enclose an individual. Whatever that is, you're going to just put it in here. About one sentence per component. You're just going to describe what the component is in a short sentence. You're going to say device comprises this, 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 and this. Fill that out. It's going to then describe what that invention is. The last part of your abstract, this is going to be something that we'll generate. So you don't have to put anything in here. We'll basically take what you put in the claim section, and it'll just generate it into a list of, a device, an apparatus, or a method described herein. Your device includes, and then it's going to take whatever you listed in your claim section here as your components, and it's going to just put in a list. Pretty simple, nothing for you to do here. The last section you're going to want to look at for your provisional patent application is how you're going to want to file it. So there's a couple things that you may consider when you're looking at how you're going to file it. You're going to say, do I want to file it or have someone file it for me? All of these options, easiest ways to have an attorney file it on your behalf. And that's what part of Snap Legal is. We will file it for your behalf. So you'll have an attorney that files it, make sure it's done right. So the first option is you're going to all we're going to do is we're going to take the information that's generated from that you put in the system, not going to review it at all, but we'll file it on your behalf. So you'll be patent pending. Second option is you can do a 1 hour review. Get a bit of time with an attorney. You can review it. You can get some feedback. Now, this is not going to be the attorney drafting it all for you. It's 1 hour. They're going to look through it. They're going to give you a bit of feedback. They're going to get a bit of advice. So other things, answering questions or other things that you may want to adjust with your application. It'll be a 1 hour session where you can kind of walk through, ask some questions, get some information. Then you'll approve your application, and we'll file it or via Snap Legal. The next one is, let's say you get to the end of this and you're saying, wow, that was, I'm a little confused. Am I doing this right? Do I describing it all? I'd rather just have an attorney pick up where I left off, complete the application, do all the preparation, do all the drafting. You'll still get a chance to review it, and then we'll file it for you. So this is kind of an attorney doing it all for you. That's going to be this option for the provisional patent application. The last one is you're going to say, okay, I got to the end. I want to do I want you to prepare it all for me. I also have a few other questions about my business. What other things? Should I get an LLC? Should I get a trademark? Should I do this? Should I do that? Maybe you want to do a strategy meeting where you can talk with an attorney and ask some other questions. That's what this strategy meeting is. So we'll do all the application for you. We'll prepare it. We'll review it. We'll draft it. You'll approve it. We'll file it. And you'll also have some time to chat with an attorney. So select whichever option you want. And then last step you're going to do with the application is you're just going to do verify that you're a human, that you're not a bot trying to fill out the system. So you can see some of these are obviously fake law firm. Not a real law firm, shouldn't select this. If you select it, it's going to make you fill out this form all again. So make sure to select the actual law firm that you see that you're using this for, which is where you're coming into Snap Legal. So let's select whichever one you see, select your law firm, you're going to click submit. After you click submit, you're going to get an invoice. You're going to pay the invoice. You're going to get that paid so that we have the information or the ability to file your application and get it all funded. Once we do that, we'll get it filed for you based on whichever option you have. That's it. You're done with your provisional patent application. There's Snap Legal. Good luck with getting your invention, your business up and running. And if we can be of any other help, just let us know.